For the first day of the quarterly collaboration time you'll have with your 7th grade students, you are going to notice that we are focusing on income and taxes. In your binder, you're going to use the red section that has the guidebook as well as the career cluster cards you'll use for the main activity. I have pulled up the PowerPoint that can aid in your discussion. So again, we'd encourage you to pull it up. You can use this a little bit to showcase what JA Finance Park is. We want to kind of give the students just a little bit of context of what the end result will be that they are building up to getting to attend. From there, what you can do is talk a little bit about income. So before we can build a budget, we need to have the income coming in, and we want the students to start thinking and dreaming about the career that they might like to have someday. So you're going to notice that in the guidebook, the first page is all about the JASB suggested outline and some additional teaching tips there. And then you'll notice the JAUSA curriculum is a very similar, what you guys are used to seeing all the time, teacher guide. Now this is yours, so feel free to, highlight on it, write on it, make notes, rearrange, really make this your own. And you are the experts in your classroom, and you know kind of what the students already know and what they might need to know a little bit more. So we want to start off the conversation by just talking about careers. And a few of the fun things to highlight is the fastest growing occupations nationally are going to be highlighted in the curriculum, as well as talking just briefly about the education needed for jobs. One thing in South Dakota that we really want to highlight is the fact that we have incredible technical colleges that they can go and get 2-year degrees, etc. Not all jobs need that 4-year bachelor's degree, and we really want to showcase that to our students. We have some incredible resources. The Sioux Falls School District directly has access to the Career and Technical Education Academy, which I'm assuming your students are going to know about, but feel free to take a few minutes just to talk about the resources we have here locally within your district, as well as throughout the state. Then what we're going to do is just talk a little bit about the connection that typically higher education creates higher wages. And this is where there's a little bit of consideration, because there's a lot of jobs that have a technical 2-year degree that you can start getting more money than a 4-year degree along the way. But what we really want the students to get to see is that there usually is a correlation. You do usually need to invest in education in order to get that higher paying job. So we're going to be talking and challenging the students to think about their career set, their knowledge, their tech skills, their success skills that's going to lead to their specific career. You're going to notice that there are some vocabulary terms you can introduce. The students can open up their guidebooks, and you're going to skip those first few pages because we just don't have time to do everything in the book. But you're going to notice that they have the opportunity to see the 16 career clusters, which is the main content that we're going to start off the day with. They can take a look at these career clusters and kind of briefly highlight them, look at them, maybe star a couple of the ones that they think maybe resonates with them the most. And then you're going to jump into the core activity. And what the core activity is to use the 16 career cluster cards that JA has provided for you. You're going to split the students into small groups. You're going to notice that the guidebook has a way for the students to move and be a little bit more interactive. You can do that if that works for your classroom setting. But in the front page with the teaching tips, we've provided some tips that worked really well for the people who taught it last year. And that is to split the students to small groups, have each group have a card. It's a memory game. So the students in the group are all going to open up their student workbook, and they're going to have the opportunity to write down as much as they can remember. So first, all pencils are down. You're going to have a reader read as much of that card as possible, and you're going to give them a specific time limit, maybe 30 seconds to a minute, or maybe up to 90 seconds. You're going to have them read as much as they can and write it down. If you have time, they can do it a second time as well, just to see if a second reader can remember even more. And then what they're going to do is after they've written it all down, they're going to take and use the rubric on the bottom of their page to score what they remembered. And it's kind of fun for them to get to see it. From there, gauging your time, you can have them showcase any of the highlights that came from their specific career cluster card. You are going to want to make sure to watch your time because we are assuming you have about 70 minutes total. So we want to focus the first half, the first 35-ish minutes on the career portion. And then we want you to move right into the second portion, which is all about taxes. So in the simulation, the students are going to get a career and then they're going to see their salary. And their very first step is to see how taxes impact that salary. So what you're going to notice is that as you continue to work through the slideshow, the talking prompts are in your guidebook. The students have a lot of information again in their books that can walk through this information. They have all of those vocabulary terms outlined. But you're going to talk through the basics of taxes and really help the students understand that we all pay a little bit into taxes to benefit from the whole. So instead of needing to have a personal bodyguard, we all have access to the police department, etc. So as you click through here, you're going to notice lots of terms. Again, you can kind of condense this based on what you feel like your students kind of need to know. We want to focus on income tax as we go. We want to highlight the fact that all states have a different income tax. And in fact, in South Dakota, we don't have an income tax. So that's one of the things we want to talk about. But we also have property tax and then sales tax. The South Dakota sales tax is 4.2%, and the Sioux Falls sales tax is 2%. So again, you can highlight that as you go. We have provided an example of a sales tax receipt. So you can see your subtotal, you can see that 7% applied, and then you have your total. Students probably have all seen a receipt. If you have the opportunity and want to bring some in for them to have a physical copy, you can absolutely do that. Sometimes on a receipt, it's actually showcased the state sales tax and then the local sales tax. So it's kind of fun to see that even more broken down, but a lot of times it's just lumped together. You'll notice we've also provided an example of a property tax bill as well as a pay stub. And that pay stub is going to walk us into the next portion, which is going to be Jason's paycheck. So you're going to notice that that paycheck is also in the student workbook. And you can, the main activity is to kind of walk through this, showcasing to the students the various elements. You can answer these questions. And again, we've provided those answers in the teacher guide teaching tips section. But it's almost a trick question because in South Dakota, we don't have an income tax. And so that's one of the perks to our state, which is kind of fun. The biggest point we want them to see is that there is a difference between the gross annual income or monthly income and then the net monthly income or annual income. The JA simulation is going to focus on the net monthly income. So just know that once the students get their actual salary in their career, which is going to be just fictitious, they're just going to be provided one. They don't get to select it at the middle school level. But then they're going to actually see the taxes come out. They don't have to do the math. They just simply click on a button and it shows it coming out of it. But they're going to need to know what a net monthly income is. The NMI is going to be referenced multiple times during the simulation. All right, so again, a couple more slides kind of helping you showcase that. Please feel free to pick and choose which ones you showcase. Depending on your time, you might not be able to get to all of these slides, and that's okay. But this one's kind of a fun one to kind of showcase where do federal taxes go and how is it utilized. And again, there's some talking prompts that go along with that in your guidebook. That's the gist of the first day. Again, we would encourage you to have the students write their names on that student workbook and keep those in a safe spot for your next activity, which will be potentially down the road if you use the quarterly collaboration timeframe. Please let us know if you have any questions and enjoy your time with the students.